Hello and welcome, Brett here with clickmill.co. And in this video, we're going to be talking about a decision-making model called Occam's razor. This is typically a philosophical razor, which is sort of a filtering mechanism or a decision-making tool that helps you to make the best decision by considering the complexity of the proposed solution to a problem. Now, in philosophy, and in theology and in other academic areas, there was often a problem. I believe this arose from conspiratorial thinking. And how do you explain a very unusual phenomenon in a social arena? Well, really what it is, it's the secret cabal behind the scenes, and this happens, and that happens, and they're over here, and they're over here, and then you have this huge, mess of ideas that could be real, I guess, and then therefore this. And some other guy is like, well, I actually, just think that, the Earth is the center, excuse me, the Earth's not the center of the solar system. Really, it's just the sun that's at the center. So Occam's razor, and this is not an actual problem I'm giving an example of. I'm just telling you, on one hand, there's a super complicated explanation. And I think at the time it had to do with like a conspiracy theory of some type. And then on the other hand, there's a very simple solution. Both give a probable outcome. Excuse me, both give a possible outcome, not probable. And what Occam's razor says, this guy named Occam, he said the simplest solution is usually the best. If you have a simple solution, the likelihood that that one is right is higher, generally speaking, than the super complicated solution, because the complicated solution has way more factors. It has way more things to consider. It has more points at which it can be wrong, whereas the simple solution, say, maybe assumes two things. Well, the likelihood both of those things are wrong is less than the likelihood of 50 things being wrong over here. So err to the side of simple solutions than to complex solutions. Now, building on that a little bit, there is an added element here, which is the simple solution that can explain the most problems is most likely the one to be correct. So let's say you have two simple solutions and you have 5 problems. Two simple solutions. The first simple solution explains one of those 5 problems. The second simple solution explains 4 of those 5 problems. Which one is a better solution? Probably the simple solution that explains more problems and solves more problems. So this is Occam's razor. If you're looking to a solution to a problem in your system, that is your ministry or your Christian business or in your family, right? Family systems theory is how all the people in the family form a system, and that system engages, right? You've heard of birth order. Like there's a lot of ways that people sort of interact and play certain roles in the family. And so if you're looking for a solution to a problem in a system, you're looking for the most simple solution, and you want to err to the simple side. Now, when do you go with the complex solution? Well, a good rule of thumb here is if you hear hoofbeats, don't think zebras. Now, if I'm outside, and let me say this, I guess, if you're in Africa, this may be different. I don't know what the ratio of zebras to horses is, but in the West, in places that are not Africa, at least, if I hear hoofbeats here in Hawaii, I'm going to think it's a horse. There's a lot of horses on the island, and there are people who have horse rides and tourists and, all this stuff. So the likelihood that it's a horse is basically 100%, unless there was a jailbreak at the zoo. And, the movie Madagascar is playing out, and the zebra and the hippo and the tiger or lion or whatever are escaping the zoo. And that's the scenario. There's no way there's a zebra walking down the street here. Now, is it possible that it is a zebra? Yeah, it's possible. Is it probable or likely? Absolutely not. Am I going to default to that and bank my resources on that? No, I'm not going to do that. So if it comes down to a decision where there are hoofbeats and I have to say, making a decision for something maybe happening in the future is going to be the resources going to the simplest possible solution, because the complex one has way more, the likelihood is lower that it is going to play out, and the likelihood of it failing is much higher. So could it be possible? Yes. Is it probable? No. Is the likelihood of it failing higher if you invest resources into the complex? Also higher. One more way that we can think about this in Sherlock Holmes, he said, and I know this is super credible here because we're talking about Sherlock Holmes, but it's quite sound. He said, if you have examined and thoroughly ruled out, this is not an exact quote, but if you've thoroughly ruled out every probable option, okay, so in the case of like a crime scene in a room, he goes, if you've looked at every way out of that room to figure out which exit the criminal took after committing the crime, and you can say with 100% certainty that he did not take any of those ways out, then the least probable option must be true. That's the zebra. Then the zebra is walking down the street. Well, what does that mean? He's still in the room. The killer is still in the room. What do you mean he's in the room? That's impossible. We've been in the room for weeks looking for how he left. He's still in the room because you've proven he hasn't left. You've ruled out all of the probable options. This is called deductive reasoning. You've ruled out all of the most probable options. He did not leave, and therefore he must still be in the room. There are no other options. And so what do? Then you start looking for the trap door that goes into the basement, right? And so that is when you start thinking zebras, but that is the exception, not the rule. So I hope you've enjoyed this video on Occam's razor. Forgive me, blanking out there for a second. Hope you've enjoyed this video on Occam's razor and looking at the simplest solution as your default for decision making and considering options for your ministry, your business, and your life. And if this is interesting, leave a comment. I'll look forward to seeing you in the very next video. God bless.